That offense is so crazy balanced, man, and the defense is damn near impenetrable sometimes. Welcome to the jungle, everyone. I'm Kyle Phelps, and some of the unexpected coaching performances that we've had this year, mwah, chef's kiss, am I right? Just spectacular what some of these guys have been able to do with seemingly so little. This week, since I'm on vacation and not able to put out the content reacting to what I, today on January 18th, assume was a wild divisional weekend, the Bengals won, right? I figured I'd do a video that I've been wanting to do since the season ended. I'm going to give you 5 coaches who I think are most deserving of the Coach of the Year award that they're going to award on February 9th. If this video does well, maybe I'll also make an MVP episode too. I don't know, we'll figure it out. But before we get into that, I'd just like to ask that you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. It really helps my channel out, and it helps you know when I drop all of my content. So last year, Mike Vrabel won Coach of the Year for dragging a Tennessee Titans team, quarterbacked by Ryan Tannehill, all the way to the AFC's #1 seed. Honestly, props, but there's virtually no chance that he's going to repeat that, as the Titans missed the playoffs this year after seemingly having the division wrapped up by week 11. Then the Titans proceeded to lose 7 games in a row to finish the season, and Spotted Kitty went meow. So, this year, I've got 5 coaches in mind who are probably heavily in consideration for the award, the last of which is going to be my pick for the NFL's Coach of the Year this year. First of all, I want to give a shout out to my team's coach, Zach Taylor. I made a video about his incredible leadership a few weeks ago that I think you should totally check out. But anyway, this Bengals team started 0-2, which often is a playoff death knell. They ended up winning the AFC North after all that. The coaching and leadership that this man has displayed, especially in their recent 9-game win streak, hopefully 10 by the time this video comes out, has been absolutely incredible. Although, at the same time, this is also probably the most talented Bengals team of all time that he's had to work with, and he's got Joe Burrow at quarterback alone, and Joe Burrow's better this year. So, I'm sorry, Zach, I just can't put you on my list because of that alone, right? My number 5 Coach of the Year candidate is Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell. Now, wait, Kyle, do you mean the guy who coached the team that just choked in epic fashion to the New York Giants last week? Yeah, don't forget they vote on the award based on what happened in the regular season. I'm pretty sure they've already put in the votes, so this video I'm making I don't think would even potentially have any impact. In the regular season, Kevin O'Connell coached a scrappy Vikings team that ended the season 13-4, despite feeling more like a 9-8 team the way that they played. They had a negative point differential on the season, for God's sake. You know who else made the playoffs with a negative point differential? The Bucks, Dolphins, and Giants. And the Giants did beat the Vikings, but, honestly, somebody had to win that game. Number 4, I've got Philadelphia Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni. This team was 9-8 last year and probably only made the playoffs because the NFC East was, offensively bad. Not as bad as this year's NFC South, but, hey. All of a sudden, Jalen Hurts is an MVP frontrunner, and after all the talks about the Eagles potentially moving on from him, 14-3 and the NFC's best team that got to skip the wild card weekend is what they got out of the season. That offense is so crazy balanced, man, and the defense is damn near impenetrable sometimes. Yeah, the Eagles. Props to Sirianni, especially after everyone counted him out after his very admittedly weird introductory press conference. Number 3, I was really rooting for Dan Campbell to come out on top this year, but it's kind of hard to give him the award after the Lions just couldn't finish the job this year. Campbell took a 3-13-1 team from last year and even started 1-6 this year. We were all expecting another top 5 draft pick, and out of nowhere, the Lions just started winning. It started with a low-scoring win over the Green Bay Packers back in Week 9, and it just kept building from there. Before you knew it, they were 8-8 with a legitimate shot to make the playoffs. Unfortunately, they need a little extra help from the Seahawks, so completing the season sweep over the Packers wasn't enough, but you can imagine, had they finished that Thanksgiving game against the Bills and didn't miss a 29-yard field goal, or didn't let the Bills score with 23 seconds left in regulation, Campbell might have been at the top of this list. Alas, that's not what happened, and I just can't give it to him. Number 2, I've been kind of back and forth on this one since I started putting this video together, but I'm going to give the runner-up to Jaguars coach Doug Peterson. Urban Meyer destroyed this team and left them for dead last year, y'all. Like, completely. He was probably the worst coach I've ever seen in NFL history. Trevor Lawrence looked like he was heading towards bust territory last year, and now he looks like one of the NFL's bright young stars, like we all kind of expected he would be when he was in the draft. Similar to Campbell's Lions, the Jaguars started this season 2-6, but they actually finished the job and made the playoffs. Granted, they were fighting for a desolate AFC South crown as opposed to a competitive wildcard spot, but still, the Jaguars found themselves in a legitimate win-in scenario in Week 18, and they took care of business. Like I said, Coach of the Year is decided in the regular season, so their miraculous 27-0 comeback over the Chargers doesn't count toward the voting, but if it did, I think Peterson might at that point get the edge for me. Finally, my personal choice for NFL Coach of the Year 2022 is none other than Brian Dabal of the New York Giants. And this one's tough for me because I've had a bit of a strained relationship with the Giants since Eli Manning's bitch ass, and I'm not exactly the biggest Daniel Jones fan either. But, if anything, dragging a Giants team with Daniel Jones, up until what we saw in the wild card, at quarterback, and a slew of major injuries like Sterling Shepard, Wan'Dale Robinson, Landon Collins, Leonard Williams, Nick Williams, Daniel Bellinger, and the list just keeps going, to a playoff berth in a crowded NFC East is just so impressive, honestly. I have a feeling Brian Dabal is going to be a thorn in the rest of the NFL side for a very long time. So those are my thoughts for who I think has the best case for NFL's 2022 Coach of the Year. To recap, that's number 5, Kevin O'Connell, number 4, Nick Sirianni, number 3, Dan Campbell, number 2, Doug Peterson, and number 1, Brian Dabal. Honorable mention shout out to Zach Taylor, of course, but let me know what you guys think. Would you pick somebody else as your number 1? Who would your top 5 be? What order would it be in? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll feature the best ones in my next video, like this one from Adam Goodwin, who had a bit of a longer comment on my new overtime rules video, which you can watch. He said, took a bit of a deep dive into playoff overtime results. Over the last 10 years, there have been 10 overtime playoff games, and the team that wins the coin toss wins the game 70% of the time. I'd say these rule changes are aimed at pushing that figure closer to 50-50 and leave the ending of the game less up to chance, and help Buffalo, who has not had fun playoff overtime. And you know what? That's fair, Adam. I think my point was mainly that I don't like it when the NFL makes these knee-jerk reactions and changes the rules when someone just couldn't hack it at a major aspect of the sport. Like I said, just play defense. The Bengals did it. I'm much more open to the argument where the rule makes the game more watchable and interesting. I think that's fair because the NFL is a business, but I'm just worried that it's going to potentially lead to more exhaustion and injury for the players. But that's just my opinion, though. We'll see how it affects things going forward. I'm actually on a plane heading back to Cincinnati right now as we speak, or at least as you're hearing me speak, because right now on January 18th at 9:40 in the morning, I'm obviously recording this video. But as you're hearing me speak, I'm on a plane back to Cincinnati, so I'll probably have a proper recap episode of the divisional matchup between the Bengals and Bills soon, hopefully. My hope is tomorrow at 5, but it might take until Wednesday. I'm just not sure right now. Until then, y'all can always catch more of what I do at KylePhelps92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/ThePhelps, But Fumble Sports, the Battle of Ohio podcast, which is now on the Spot Podcast Network on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and right here if you subscribe. But thank y'all so much for watching. I'll leave y'all, as always, with a hootie!